Part 7. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tnni. Chapter 61. Since returning from Rebirth, Su Wenyu has been staying in the Han family. She has never been anywhere except her parents' home. She was excited to hear that Hanyu was taking her to the city. The Su family saw that Hanyu was with them, so their daughter's safety was not a problem. Just let them go. In order not to waste time on the road, they used Su's carriage to go to the county. Hanyu didn't care about this. Since a carriage could get to the county faster, he didn't insist on using his own ox cart since it belonged to the Yu family. There is nothing wrong with being able to borrow help, and there is no such feeling of inferiority and self-esteem. Instead, looking at his wife's impatient look, Hanyu shook his head in a funny way. He grew up in the village. There are not so many rules in farmers' families. Whether it is an unmarried daughter or a married daughter-in-law, it is very easy to go to the city. They are not as particular as those from wealthy families. What? Women are not allowed to appear in public, and it is common for them to go to the city to go shopping. Unless they are daughters who have just been engaged and are about to be married, they will pay a little more attention and try to go out as little as possible. However, the daughter-in-law has been doted on by her in-laws since she was a child. Although the Su family does not live in the city, they are not an ordinary wealthy family. They are still connected to Chang'an City. There must be more rules in the family. The daughter-in-law is so beautiful and lovely, even he does not. Don't worry and let your daughter-in-law go to the city by herself, not to mention the father-in-law, mother-in-law and 2 uncles. It's normal to be confined at home all day long and want to go out to play. If you like it, I will take you to the city to play when I have time. See how happy you are. I can go there by myself without you. I just take a bullock cart and go with my daughter-in-law from the village. Zioxi will do things for me and there will be a carriage when she comes back. It is convenient to go to the county town. My parents and brothers used to like to take care of me. This is not allowed and that is not allowed. In fact, you are free if you get married, and they can no longer control it. Su Wenyu said with a smile, getting married is not without its benefits. Although there are people in the Han family who don't deal with her, no one will care about her when she goes out to the city. She just says hello. When going to the market, people in the village, some of the daughters-in-law would often bring home local products or items such as shoes made by themselves to the market to sell. After selling, they could exchange money to support the family. Su Wenyu found it interesting. Hanyu didn't object when he heard what Su Wenyu said. Their Xinyi County had always been relatively peaceful. Nothing happened very rarely. Other people's wives could go there. He had no reason to restrain his own wife, but he was a little uneasy after all. He said, you can go to the county town, but you can't go alone. You have to take Zioxi with you, or let me accompany you. If I find you disobedient, you won't be allowed to go there in the future. Understood, I will take Xiao 11 with me from now on. Xiao 11 can also do Kung Fu, so she will be very safe with her. Su Wenyu agreed and then added, fearing that Hanyu would stop her like her parents and brothers. It was really lively when we arrived at the county town, especially today when we were attending a big market. There were people coming and going on the street, and there were many people selling all kinds of groceries. Su Wenyu looked here and there and bought a lot of things, but now the Han family has not divided. It was not easy to buy some things at home, and there was no need to spend money. Su Wenyu was careful about her budget, and after much deliberation, she decided to separate the family as soon as possible, and her life would be easier. She didn't buy anything, but there were many stalls selling snacks on the roadside, and the smell of them made people greedy. When her brother came with her in the past, he always said that the stalls on the roadside were unclean and wouldn't let her eat. Hanyu couldn't. Su Wenyu ate all the way until her stomach was full. Mister, I really can't eat any more. Su Wenyu looked at the fried meatballs in her hand, touched her round belly, and looked at Han Yu for help. Han Yu took the deep-fried meatballs from Su Wenayu's hand without saying anything. He didn't mind that Su Wenayu had eaten them before, and ate them all in a few seconds. Su Wenayu looked unhappily. "Hey, isn't this brother Han? Why, he is shopping with his wife." Han Yu and Su Wenayu turned around when they heard the sound, but it was a young man, about the same age as Han Yu. He was dressed like a scholar and behaved elegantly, looking at them with a smile. Su Wenayu didn't speak but looked at Han Yu. From the meaning of the man's words, she must have known Han Yu. In his previous life, Han Yu didn't want to see her. He didn't talk to her much when he came back. Naturally, he didn't talk to her about things outside. He said that Su Wenayu didn't know anything about Han Yu's friends outside, except for those who were close to each other in the village and had regular interactions with them on weekdays. "Brother Deng, long time no see. How are you?" Han Yu then introduced the two of them. "Yu Niang, this is my good friend Deng Tong. Brother Deng, this is my wife Yu Niang." Su Wenayu was stunned when she heard the word Deng Tong. She was a little unsure whether this Deng Tong was the famous General Deng Tong she knew. Since entering the mansion in her previous life, she could not go out in the inner house. She had not met Deng Tong in person. She only knew about this man and his deeds when listening to the maids and old ladies talking about him. Although he was not as good as Han Yu, he was still a good person. Amazing people. However, I heard that General Deng Tong was also a new savage, so that should be correct. But I didn't expect that Han Yu would actually know Deng Tong at this time. Thinking of the relationship between Deng Tong and Emperor Wu, maybe Han Yu came through Deng Tong. Those who follow Emperor Wu are not necessarily the same. Yu Niang has met young Master Deng Su Wenayu was brought up by the An family since she was a child. She even asked her grandma to teach her for a period of time. When she was in the mansion, she followed the rules and made no mistakes. Now in the Han family, even if the Han family does not pay attention to these things and does not show off on weekdays, when it comes to meeting people, the etiquette is still good, and Deng Yu was greeted with a decent courtesy. Deng Tong was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that Deng Yu, a farmer, could marry such a woman with both good character and appearance. Moreover, she looked well-spoken, dressed and had temperament. Her family must be good. However, he was willing to get to know Han Yu because he saw Han Yu's extraordinariness. Others could also see it, so it was not strange. "Sister-in-law, you don't have to be polite. Brother Han and I are good friends. Although we haven't known each other for too long, we have similar interests and appreciate each other. It's a rare coincidence. Maybe I will bother you in the future. I hope you won't be disgusted. But Brother Han is so lucky to marry a woman like you who has both good character and appearance. Speaking of which, I haven't asked Brother Han for a glass of wedding wine yet." Deng Tong seemed very close to Han Yu in his words and deeds. Han Yu also had some thoughts about making friends with Deng Tong, so he was naturally happy. "Brother Deng is polite. Since we meet, it's better to meet by chance than to invite each other. Why don't we go to the restaurant for a drink? Then I'd rather obey you than be respectful. Please." Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tian Ni. Chapter 62. Although the Diaming dynasty had many restrictions on women, the requirements were not so strict compared to the previous dynasties. Although it was generally not allowed for women to be present when men were talking about things, Han Yu and Deng Tong didn't mind, and they only talked casually. So Su Wenayu did not avoid it. What kind of topics do people talk about at what level? Han Yu is a self-motivated person, or rather ambitious, so he befriends Deng Tong, and when he is with Deng Tong, most of the talk is about the local affairs of the imperial court. Su Wenayu is actually not very interested in these, but she is not unfamiliar with these contents from her past life experience, and she can understand them. Deng Tong didn't deliberately observe Su Wenayu. A friend's wife should not be bullied, and he would not do such an offensive thing. However, sitting at a table, he could always see Su Wenayu's expression and reaction, and found that Su Wenayu could actually understand him. After saying this, and occasionally showing expressions of approval or disapproval, I was surprised. I also paid more attention to Su Wenayu. I felt more and more that Su Wenayu was not simple, and I also had more respect in my heart. "Miss, Uncle, I finally found you." Several people came out of the restaurant and were about to say goodbye when a young man ran over and said hurriedly, with a bit of anxiety and joy on his face. Su Wenayu recognized that these were servants of the Su family, so she was so eager to find them, presumably because something happened at home, and she was a little anxious. "What's wrong? Is there something going on at home that made you come to us in such a hurry? Don't be anxious, speak slowly if you have something to say." Hanyu was also a little worried, but he was calmer than Su Wenayu. "Miss, Uncle, there is something wrong with the Han family. Someone from the Han family came and said that the wife of the in-laws was injured by a thief who broke into the house and hit her head. They asked someone to come and find you." Su Wenayu was relieved when she heard that the boy said it was not the Su family's trouble. However, when she remembered that the person was her mother-in-law, although she didn't have much affection, she was Hanyu's biological mother. She felt worried again and turned around. Looking at Hanyu, I saw a worried look on Hanyu's face. "Then how is my mother-in-law's injury? Did anyone tell me? Did you ask a doctor to take a look?" Su Wenayu asked the boy. "This servant doesn't know either. Master and Madam asked me to come to you as soon as the news came out, so I don't know exactly what the situation is. Master, Miss, you'd better go back quickly." After hearing this, Su Wenayu looked at Hanyu and said, "Ms. Sir, let's go back as soon as possible and ask a doctor to come back. There are no good doctors in Xiaohe village. He can only look at minor problems such as headaches and brain fever. If my mother is seriously injured, the doctor in Xiaohe village, I'm afraid it won't work. Besides, my mother hit her head. No matter what, I need to hire a better doctor to take a look at her so that I can rest assured." Hanyu nodded. This is the best way for his wife to deal with it. Deng Tong, who was standing aside and had not yet left, also spoke. "Brother Han, I am familiar with the county and know that the doctors at Baoantang have good medical skills. I will take you there, find him and ask him to go to Xiaohe village to treat your mother." Hanyu didn't refuse. What he was most concerned about now was his mother's injury. He just wanted to find the doctor and rush back as soon as possible. "Brother Deng, I'm here to help." The group of people hurried back to Xiaohe village. Fortunately, they came in a carriage, which saved a lot of time on the road. They hurriedly and slowly returned to Xiaohe village in less than an hour. Hanyu got off the carriage first and went into the house. Su Wenayu greeted the doctor and followed behind. "Fourth child, why are you back? How long has it been? The person lying on the bed is your own mother. Could it be that you have ignored your mother for the sake of your wife?" Han Lin didn't look so worried. When he saw Han Wenyu came back, he finally grasped the excuse and scolded Hanyu sarcastically, pointing out that Hanyu was unfilial every word. However, Hanyu was really worried about Yang, and ignored Han Lin at all. Instead, he looked at Han Hu and Han Ping and asked urgently about Yang's situation. "Brother, second brother, how is she? Is she seriously injured?" Han Lin looked at Hanyu with increasing disdain. "Now I know I'm worried. Why did you go there earlier? If there is something wrong with my mother, the day lily will be cold by the time you come back. Fortunately, my mother was so partial to you before, and I will know this in the future. It's unreliable." Hanyu was angry, and it was okay for Han Lin to be careless on weekdays, but he behaved like this at this time, which showed that he was not worried about his own mother at all. "Fourth brother, don't worry, my mother just took medicine and fell asleep. The village doctor said that my mother's injury was not too serious, but the injury was on her head and there was so much blood. He has limited medical skills and cannot be so sure. I just want mom to take good care of her. If she's not worried, she has to go to the county to ask a doctor to take a look at her. But she doesn't agree, saying that it's too expensive to go to the city to see a doctor. We can't do that, or else we want to let her go. Mom is taking care of her like this. If the injury is not healed, go to the city and ask a doctor to take a look at her. Both Hanhu and Hanping were filial, but they just listened too much to Yang's words, which made them a little foolish. They couldn't make up their minds for a while, so they discussed it with Hanyu. Old man Han was worried on the sidelines. He was more worried about his wife than his sons. In his heart, he actually wanted to go to the city to hire a doctor for Yang. However, with the situation at home and what Yang said first, he still had to listen. The opinions of several sons. Hanyu was relieved to know that the Yang family was not in danger for the time being. At this time, Su Wenyu also invited the doctor in. Only then did the Han family know that Hanyu had gone to the city to invite the doctor when he came back late. No wonder it took him so long to get back. According to the distance from the county seat to Xinhe village, if I went to the city and asked the doctor to come back, it would be fast. I guess I hurried on because I was worried. Old man Han was pleased to see his son act like this. He usually felt that Han was partial to the youngest son. As a son, Yang always said that Hanyu was promising and responsible. He didn't agree with that. Now it seems that the old woman is indeed good at judging. Just look at the reactions of the sons today. Not to mention the third son, he didn't worry about his own mother being injured. He was a heartless man. This son was simply raised in vain. The eldest and second sons were filial, but they were useless at critical moments. In the end, the youngest son had to make the decision. Doctor, please check if my mother's injury is serious. The doctor of Baoan Hall diagnosed Yang again and confirmed that Yang was just losing too much blood. If she was well taken care of, there would be no problem. He only prescribed 2 prescriptions for nourishing the body and returned to the city. After the doctor of Baoan Hall said so, Hanyu was completely relieved. However, Yang would be fine, and another matter had to be brought up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tianni. Chapter 63. I heard from the servants of the Su family that my mother bruised her forehead because there was a thief in the house. What's going on? Why did a thief break into the house just fine, and it was still broad daylight? Our Xinhe village has always been peaceful. This kind of thing rarely happens, but you can see who the thief is. How could he break into our house? Hanyu felt strange when talking about this incident, but he was not there at the time and did not know what the situation was. This was not sure that Yang was okay, so he began to investigate and find out what happened. Speaking of this matter, the 2 brothers Hanhu and Hanping also felt that something was wrong. Even if they were thieves, they usually chose to do so at night. When the night was dark and windy, they would not be easily recognized. How could they break in broad daylight? When he came to someone's house to steal something, he chose a time when no one was around. He was obviously very familiar with the situation in their house. If Yang hadn't been worried about her precious grandson and went back, the thief might have succeeded. Han Lingsu thought it was normal because he was thinking about Su Wenyu's dowry. After hearing Han Yu's question, he said without thinking, why else? Isn't it because the 4th brother married a girl from the Su family, she is jealous of the trouble she caused? Otherwise, why has there never been a thief in our house before? It is probably because the dowry of the 4th brother and sister is too conspicuous, which makes people think. It is true that she is fine with the trouble caused by the 4th brother and sister. On the contrary, it hurts my mother. Third brother, don't say anything without any basis. Even if it is true that the thief covets the dowry of the fourth brother and sister, it is the thief's fault. He cannot blame the fourth brother and sister. It is not shameful for a grown man to always target his own brother and sister. I'm so embarrassed, Han Hu said with a face, and he was also very dissatisfied with Han Lin's performance. Han Hu then talked about what happened before. Originally, they were all working in the fields. Mrs. Yang was worried because Mrs. Wang said she felt sick at noon, so she wanted to go home and have a look. How could she know? When I got home, I saw a thief entering the house. I immediately shouted. The thief was alerted by Yang and wanted to run away. Yang rushed forward and refused to let him go, but was knocked down. Han Yu roughly understood what happened. Have you ever seen clearly what that person looks like? My mother said that the thief was wearing a mask, and he was only focused on rushing forward and didn't pay attention to the thief's appearance, so he didn't see who the person was. However, he felt that the person's figure was very familiar and he should be someone he knew. Han Hu said, a little discouraged. If Yang could find the thief clearly, if he could see his face, now that he has escaped, he doesn't know who he is, and he doesn't even know where to find him. If you want me to know who that person is, I have to beat him to death. He dares to come to our house and steal things in broad daylight. He thinks that everyone in our family is dead, and he even injured my mother like this. Han Ping also clenched his fists in anger. Okay, things have already come to this. There's no point in saying angry words. Fortunately, your mother is fine. Even though old man Han said this, he sighed and couldn't understand why the thief became so rampant. Situation. That's right, it's useless to say anything until the person is caught. And I heard that the thief was in the fourth child's room at that time. Mother came back in time and the man hadn't succeeded yet. However, the fourth child and the others didn't suffer any loss, but my mother was injured by the thief. It will cost a lot of money to ask the doctor for medicine, not to mention that there is so much blood on the head. The doctor said that it needs to be replenished, and the family does not have enough money. Han Lin said that he was not worried about Yang's injury. The point was that Yang's injury would cost money. Su Wenyu didn't know what to say after hearing this. This third child was too confused, let alone old man Han and the Han family. After hearing this, the brothers all felt very uncomfortable. Okay, third brother, shut up, or get out of here. Why did I give birth to such a worthless thing like you? Old man Han shouted angrily. Old man Han's words had obvious language errors, but no one would care about them at this time. Han Yu looked at Han Lin deeply before looking at everyone. I think this matter is not simple. What the second brother said is right. How could the thief be so bold? He dared to break into our house and steal in broad daylight. It is impossible that he was not afraid of being discovered. He should have known the situation of our house at this time. Knowing that everyone was out, so he had the courage to sneak in. How could the thief know about our house? He didn't go to other rooms and went directly to my room to steal things. This is very puzzling. Also, there was no one at home at the time. The third sister-in-law was at home, so why didn't she hear any sound? Isn't that strange? Han Yu's words just didn't mean that Wang was a traitor. When Han Lin thought about Wang's abnormality at that time, he felt a little panicked. Maybe it was his wife who did it, but even so, it will never be admitted. After listening to Han Yu's words, everyone present looked at Han Lin with thoughtful expressions on their faces. It was obvious that they felt that this matter had something to do with the Wang family. After all, during this period, the Wang family had frequently paid for the dowry of the fourth daughter-in-law. Idea. Fourth brother, what do you mean by this? Do you think my wife colluded with the thief in this matter? Don't slander me. This matter cannot have anything to do with my wife. Han Lin pointed at Han Yu angrily. His appearance was just bluffing, and he obviously lacked confidence. Han Yu could not see Han Lin's guilty conscience, so he became suspicious in his heart. It was probably Han Lin who knew something, so he reacted so fiercely. It would be clear if you ask your wife to come out and explain. She was at home at the time, so it's impossible that she didn't hear anything. Besides, your wife was also there when your mother was pushed down by the thief. Maybe your wife saw the thief's appearance clearly. Although the thief was masked, it was broad daylight, and even if he was masked, you could still see a lot of things. My wife is pregnant now, she feels a little uncomfortable, and she is resting in the room at this time. You can't disturb her. If you make my wife angry because of your random suspicion, I will never forgive you. Han Lin was just playing tricks by relying on the child in Wang's belly. Such a woman's behavior is despised, but it does work. Su Wenyu had been watching silently, but now she laughed. Yeah, I don't think it was done by the third sister-in-law. After all, we are all family. No matter how bad the third sister-in-law is, she can't collude with thieves to steal into her own home. I still believe this. Everyone in the Han family knows the relationship between Su Wenyu and Wang. The two sisters-in-law didn't get along from the beginning, and later they had conflicts and contradictions. Now it is obvious that Wang has a problem, but Su Wenyu stood up to speak for Wang. What's going on? Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tian. Chapter 64. Han Yu also raised his eyebrows and looked at Su Wenyu. After getting along with him these days, he would still not know his wife's nature. Others might. Except for the Wang family, it was absolutely impossible for Su Wenyu to let her go regardless of the past grudges, let alone she said she was helping, but she didn't know what she was planning. Brothers and sisters, you. Han Hu opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. How come the fourth younger brother and sister are so easy to talk to today? Could it be that he wants to say that the third younger brother and sister are scheming and have motives? This matter is very likely that the third younger brother and sister have something to do with it. Relation. Han Lin also didn't expect that Su Wenyu would speak on their side, and he looked happy. The fourth daughter-in-law is the one who understands. This is exactly the truth. Even the fourth daughter-in-law said so don't hold on to my wife. My wife is weak, and she is pregnant with a child, so she can collude with outsiders. This is pure nonsense. When Su Wenyu heard what Han Lin said, the smile on her face became even wider. That's what the third brother said. I think this can't be done by our family. It must be those who are not kind enough to covet my dowry, so don't do it casually. I'm suspicious. In my opinion, why don't we report it to the police? The thief is so bold and cruel. He actually broke into our house in broad daylight and stole, and even injured my mother like this. If such a person is not caught, he will not be caught. Our family and the village will not be peaceful, so why not report it to the police? I heard that there is a policeman in our county who is very good at solving crimes. I will definitely catch this thief when the time comes. Everyone was stunned when Su Wenyu said the word report to the official. No matter how much trouble they make, they will invite the village chief, but they will never report to the official. No one will think about it at all. The word official, if you have two mouths, don't come in if you have no money. Anyone involved in government affairs will not lose money. Everyone knows this truth. How about it? It's a good idea. Let the matter be handed over to the government. I heard that the magistrate of Xinyi County is fairly fair and honest, and his subordinates are capable. I believe that a small case like ours will be solved soon. I want to see if that bold thief actually dares to attack my mother. I will definitely not spare him. Report to the official. This, fourth daughter-in-law, are you kidding me? How dare we alarm the government over such a trivial matter in our family? The people in the government are all blood-sucking and flesh-eating people. If we really provoke the government, we take care of the money we brought from home, don't offend the poor man and put us in jail. Han Lin was so scared that he stuttered a little. Not to mention that this so-called thief might have something to do with his wife. Even if it didn't matter, he wouldn't dare to provoke people from the government. Rich people think differently, and these 4 siblings are not. If you are easy to offend, don't say anything, otherwise someone will definitely feel better. Whatever third brother said, if someone hears it, they will definitely accuse you of slandering the imperial officials. Our magistrate of Xinyi County is fair and strict, and all his officials are good. There will be no such thing. We are the plaintiffs. Even if we want to catch him, we must catch the thief. Otherwise, we have to rely on ourselves to find the thief. The injury on my mother's head cannot be in vain. Well, you, a woman, don't know how powerful this place is. It's easy to say now. If those officials are really unreasonable, you won't be able to do anything to them. They won't harm our Han family no matter what the reason is. Han Lin, they all absolutely disapprove of reporting to official positions. The 2 brothers Han Hu and Han Ping were somewhat persuaded by Su Wenyu. They asked the magistrate of Xinyi County to be really good. Maybe they could really report it to the official. After all, it was their own mother who was injured. Now they can't find it on their own. When it comes to the thief, no one can swallow this breath in their hearts, but whether what the 4th daughter-in-law said is true or not, don't cause trouble when the time comes. Although the 3rd daughter-in-law is a bit confused, her words are not unreasonable. 4th brother and sister, what you said is that you know the magistrate of our Xinyi County. Is the magistrate really as fair and honest as you say? He won't take the opportunity to ask for money from our family when the time comes. Our family can't afford it. Mom still has to nurse her injuries. When Han Yu heard Su Wenyu's idea, there was a smile in his eyes. His wife was not an economical person, so she thought of such a good way so quickly. This method was the most effective way to treat Han Lin and Wang. But even he did not forget to think about the government for a moment. After all, that place was not something that ordinary people could get involved with. But now that the relationship with the Su family was different, Han Yu knew that Mr. Su was not an ordinary wealthy businessman, and he also had people in the court. As for the relationship, the government would not go too far if it hindered this level, not to mention that he had heard of the Xinyi County magistrate, who was said to be a rare and good official. Eldest brother, 2nd brother, I am also a member of the Han family. If something happens to the Han family, I have nothing to do with it. I will not joke about such things. Although I have never seen the magistrate of Xinyi County, my father and brother have dealt with him, and they all praise him as a good official who serves the country and the people, so I proposed this method. Even if the time comes when money is needed, I will be there. When Han Hu and Han Ping heard what Su Wenyu said, they couldn't believe it. However, they couldn't make up their minds about this kind of thing. They looked at old man Han and Han Yu. Dad, 4th brother, what do you think? Should our family want it? Report to the official. Old man Han took a couple of puffs from the cigarette rod and then said, the 4th child knows more, so listen to the 4th child. Old man Han actually guessed something in his heart. He knew his wife better than his sons. Although his wife said that she didn't see the thief's appearance clearly, she actually had a suspect in her heart. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so evasive when she spoke. Maybe she had some scruples in her heart. Thinking of what Han Yu said, old man Han already had some guesses in his heart. Old man Han is not Yang. Although he values his offspring, he will not ignore everything for his grandson and be as indiscriminately partial as Yang. In his opinion, Wang's family is really arrogant. They made a big fuss in Han's family last time. This time, it is probably related to Wang's family. If they don't teach them a lesson, there will be no end in the future, so it's better to report to the police. However, old man Han didn't know much about government affairs. Although the 4th son's wife said so, he still had some worries and doubts in his heart, so he handed the matter over to his youngest son. The fourth son has always been sensible and reliable in doing things. He also has a few friends in the county town. He knows more about this aspect and knows what to do. Let the fourth son decide on this matter. You are all crazy. How can you listen to the one-sided words of the fourth son's wife and report to the government? Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 65. At this time, Ms. Wang was indeed lying in the room to rest as Hanlin said, but it was not because she felt uncomfortable physically, but because she felt uncomfortable, guilty, and nervous. She was afraid that everyone would doubt her, so she simply hid in the room. Ms. Wang was also upset. It was not her intention to hurt her mother-in-law. She had clearly planned it well. No one was home at that time. As long as her brother got the things and left, everyone would think that there was a thief in the house and would not guess who did it. Even if she guessed it, there is no evidence, so there is nothing to do with her brother. Little did she know that it was such a coincidence that her mother-in-law suddenly came back at that time. She had no time to react to the series of things that followed. Her brother knocked her mother-in-law down in a hurry. Seeing the blood flowing from her forehead, she almost died. I was scared to death and rushed to call someone in a hurry. How's it going? Mom, is she okay? I heard that the fourth child is back outside, right? What did he say when he found out? Wang asked impatiently when she saw Hanlin returning to the room. She didn't really care about Yang. As long as Yang is fine, the matter can be settled, and the guilt in her heart can be reduced. After all, Yang is also Hanlin's biological mother. Hanlin didn't know his daughter-in-law yet, so when he saw Wang doing this, he felt even more certain that this matter had something to do with her. Otherwise, she might be watching a show this time, so she wouldn't be acting like this, and he felt a little unhappy and irritated. There's nothing serious about my mother. The fourth child asked a doctor to come back from the county town and prescribed some prescriptions so that my mother could have a good baby and raise her. Wife, this is strange. Why does the thief know so much about our family? You were at home at that time, so you really didn't hear any noise. Doesn't this really have anything to do with you, as the fourth child said? Hanlin, what are you talking nonsense about? How can you have anything to do with me? The fourth child and his wife are not good. If you listen to his nonsense, if his wife doesn't deal with me, he will naturally target me. Wang tried her best to keep her calm mind. She was calm and didn't show anything on her face. Although she felt a little sorry for Hanlin in her heart. After all, Hanlin had always been very kind to her, but she really didn't mean it and couldn't tell the truth. As long as it has nothing to do with you, the fourth daughter-in-law has also come back and proposed to report to the government to arrest the thief. Dad and the others agreed. I was worried that this matter had something to do with you, so I argued with them to stop it. But since if you say that, I won't care. It has nothing to do with us anyway. It's the fourth wife who has to spend the money. Hanlin just mentioned the matter of reporting to the official now, and he wanted to see Wang's reaction. What are you talking about? They are crazy. They actually went to report to the government. They don't know where the government is. That's where ordinary people like us go. Besides, my mother is fine now, and the thief didn't steal anything. It's such a fuss. What are you doing? Ms. Wang never expected that the Han family would report it to the government. The thief is her brother. The government has many methods. It would be terrible if they found out. They might be thrown into jail. The more I talked, the more excited I became. You're not saying that this matter has nothing to do with you. Anyway, if the government wants money and the fourth daughter-in-law said she would give it, it's none of our business. We just watch. Hanlin looked a little cold when he said this. Only then did Wang feel that things were going to be bad, but Yang was Hanlin's mother after all. If she told the truth about the matter, Hanlin didn't know what he would think, but if she didn't tell the truth, he would go to the government to save Gang. Too bad, it won't be easy to resolve at that time. Anyway, this matter is neither left nor right. Wang's anxious forehead started to sweat a little. Han Lin couldn't see it like this. Although he was angry, Wang was still pregnant with his child. If you still haven't told me the truth, don't think that I don't know because of your brother's affairs. You just think about it. Why are you planning on marrying the fourth daughter-in-law? If something goes wrong now, if you don't tell me, I won't really care. Wang had no choice but to confess this time. She also pointed at Han Lin to find a way for her. No, sir, I say, this matter does have something to do with me, but I really didn't expect to hurt my mother. It was not intentional. It was actually my brother who went to the fourth child's room that day. My mother suddenly came back. My brother was afraid of being bumped into by her, so he accidentally knocked her down. It was really not intentional. Ms. Wang, do you still take my husband-in-law seriously? It's okay that you brought your mother's family to make trouble last time. That's my mother. Fortunately, she wasn't hurt this time. If something really happened, what should I do if something goes wrong? And you never thought of discussing things with me. When did I object to you dealing with the fourth child and his wife? If I had known about what happened today, I would have stopped my mother from coming back, and it would not have developed to this point. This is the point. If it weren't for the child in Wang's belly, Han Lin would have wanted to divorce Wang. He couldn't help but think of the last time Su Wenyu said that he would give him 50 taels of silver to marry him a wife. Ms. Sir, I know I was wrong. I didn't mean to hide it from you. I was just afraid that I would be angry. Besides, the fourth child is your biological brother after all. I don't want to embarrass you. Please forgive me this time. Wang's eyes were filled with tears. He looked at Han Lin sadly. Han Lin felt a bit of pity in his heart. Thinking about the past few years of getting along with Mr. Wang, the relationship between the couple was still good. Ms. Wang was gentle and petty to him, and he also liked Ms. Wang a little. But these days, his wife has changed a lot since the fourth daughter-in-law came in. In the final analysis, the fault lies with the fourth daughter-in-law. Okay, stop crying. What if you hurt the baby in your belly? We can't let anything go wrong with our precious son who we have waited so long for. As for this matter, I will think about it again and see if I can think of any solution. If not, I can only tell the truth. Fortunately, my mother is fine now. You have a baby in your belly. Ask for mercy from everyone and apologize to the fourth daughter-in-law. Maybe the matter will be over. We can't really let them report to the police. When the constables come to our house to investigate the case, it will be troublesome. But I have done a lot of wrong things before. If everyone knows that this matter is related to me, I am afraid it will not be so easy to forgive Wang. She also knew that she had done a lot of things that were sorry to the Han family. If she forgave once or twice, how could she forgive a third time? What's more, Yang Shi was injured. That was her mother-in-law. If people knew about it, she would be stabbed in the back. This is the only way at the moment. Otherwise, when the fourth brother and his men report the matter to the authorities, we won't be able to hide it. By then, it won't just be a matter of the Han family. You and your brother might be arrested by the government. Fortunately, you are pregnant, and your parents won't make things too difficult for you for the sake of the child. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tianni. Chapter 66. Su Wenyu went back to the room and checked the things in the room. It seemed that Yang did come back in time. The thief hadn't even pried open a box, so he had no time to take away the things. The only thing this time was Yang. She was injured, but Su Wenyu still frowned when she saw Han Yu. MS Sir, don't worry. The doctor said that my mother's injury is not serious. As long as you take good care of her, I have a lot of supplements here. I will stew them for you later. She will recover soon. Don't worry too much. Hanyu held Su Wenayu's soft little hand. I'm not worried. Mom's injury will heal soon. Those supplements are your dowry. They are rare and good things. You can keep them for yourself. There is no need to take them out. Mom's place. I will go to the mountains to hunt more game and come back to replenish her health. Hanyu is grateful for his wife's kindness, but he is a man. How can he rely on his wife for everything? Hanyu is not that pedantic. There are some things, such as the power of the Yu family, that he will not push out if he can use her strength. Or he may feel inferior, but he will definitely not be a useless man who only relies on his wife. It's good to be able to grasp the line in between. Even good things are for use. Why should we be so clear about the difference between you and me? As long as my mother can get well soon, don't worry. Although my mother and I had some unpleasant troubles before, I am not that stingy person. I won't hold grudges. She just wants to have a grandson too much. I can understand her mood. Su Wenyu did not hesitate to show herself to be generous and considerate in front of Hanyu. My daughter-in-law is really sensible, but daughter-in-law, please give me a baby anytime. Mom wants to have a grandson, and I also want a son, Hanyu said while touching Su Wenyu's belly. It will happen sooner or later. By the way, do you really plan to report it to the official? Although she brought up the idea, it still depends on Hanyu's intention in the end. Hanyu has a deep mind and will not show it on his face, and Su Wenyu will not see it either. Find out what's on his mind. Then it depends on the third child and the two of them. Hanyu only said this and didn't say much. Although Yang was very angry this time because of his injury, he wanted to punish the thief, but his mother even tried to cover it up. Did not tell the truth completely. Most likely he was still worried about the child in Wang's belly. If he didn't want to cause too much trouble, he had to think more about it, but even if it didn't cause trouble with the government, this matter could still catch the third child. The couple would not dare to deal with his wife openly in the future. Seeing that Hanyu didn't want to say more, Su Wenyu didn't ask any more questions. Some things didn't just depend on her wishes. After all, Hanyu was a member of the Han family. Even though Hanyu didn't have any brotherly feelings for Han Lin, he had to take into account many aspects. However, this time Yang was injured and it was impossible to mention the separation of the family for the time being, but there was no way. If she mentioned it at this time, not only the Han family, but also Hanyu would have thoughts. Yang woke up around evening, and Su Wenyu prepared the medicine herself and sent it in. Mom, how are you? Are you feeling better? Does your head still hurt? Fourth daughter-in-law, you are back. My mother did something wrong last time and I blamed you wrongly. Just come back. The Yang family has been influenced by Hanyu these days. If Su Wenyu doesn't come back for a day, she will worry about the Su family. I came to the door to find trouble, and I reflected on myself several times, and realized that I had indeed gone too far. Now I saw a look of guilt on Su Wenyu's face. Mom, everything is over. I was all angry at that time. My daughter-in-law also had something wrong. If there is anything that makes my mother angry, please forgive me for my daughter-in-law. I am young and ignorant, and I got a little too angry. Don't argue with your daughter-in-law. When Ms. Yang saw Su Wenyu's lowered eyebrows, not only was she unreasonable, but she even apologized to her. She felt that she was really obsessed at the time. Why was Ms. Wang picking her up? She took Su Wenyu's hand. It doesn't matter, you are already fine. From now on, you and Yor will be happy as a good mother. Don't hurt the relationship between you and Yor because of this incident. It's best to try to give me a big fat baby as soon as possible. Grandson, you and Yor are both top-notch people. If you have children, they will definitely be the best. Hearing the partiality of these words, even if it was biased towards himself, Su Wenyu understood Yang's nature and sighed in his heart. In a word, it is good to have a grandson. For the sake of the child, even if it is Wang Yang still tolerated making such a fuss, and in some aspects Su Wenyu admired Yang a little. Mom, there will always be children. Let's not talk about it yet. Let's drink the medicine first. Dr. Su from the security hall is very good at medical skills. Many wealthy families in the county ask Dr. Su to see if they have any ailments. How many times do they take the medicine? Mom's injury will definitely heal quickly. I have also heard of the reputation of Dr. Su of Baoantang. They say that Dr. Su is the best doctor in our county. You are interested, but you are just afraid of spending a lot of money, right? One time when I entered the county, I called him passing by the security hall. That bright facade is not a place that ordinary people like us can go. Yang already knew what happened next from Old Man Han, and was relieved that the fourth couple were filial, but they were used to being careful all their lives, and felt a little distressed. The money for the medicine, although the money was paid by the fourth daughter-in-law. No matter how much money you spend, it's worth it as long as it can help my mother's injury heal as soon as possible. I still have a lot of supplements in the box, such as ginseng and bird's nest. I'll give my mother a good tonic when I go back. She's bleeding a lot this time, so it's okay, keep it well. Su Wenyu took out the things, so she couldn't take them for free. Although a large part of it was to gain favor in front of Han Yu, Su Wenyu also wanted fame and mother-in-law's gratitude. It would not be in vain to get more with one stone. Good things prepared specially for her. After hearing what Su Wenyu said, Yang felt more relieved. After all, although Yang was a little stubborn in some aspects, she was still an old lady who was easy to coax. At this moment, her dissatisfaction with Su Wenyu had long disappeared. She was smiling, and the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law got along more and more harmoniously. Yang was a good person on weekdays. After learning about what happened in the Han family and Yang's injury, many neighbors came to visit. Some sent flour and eggs, and more or less brought some things. Su Wenyu didn't expect that her parents would come specially for this matter. When the Han family learned that Master Su and his wife came, they were a little surprised and a little at a loss. They didn't know what Master Su's purpose was. If he came to see Yang, it would be fine. Don't come because of the previous grievances of the fourth daughter-in-law. However, seeing that the fourth daughter-in-law didn't care about the previous things and was kind to them, this matter should be over, right? Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tianni. Chapter 67. In particular, Ms. Yang felt very uneasy. What she did that day was unreasonable. Even if her in-laws didn't come for that matter, she was a little embarrassed to face them. But even so, since they were here, she absolutely couldn't indifferently. Yang wanted to greet her at the door in person, but Su Wenyu persuaded her not to. Mom, you still have a wound on your head. You'd better lie down on the bed and let my mother come and see you. Otherwise, if the wound is touched, both me and my parents will be uneasy. Su Wenyu I also saw the uneasiness on Yang's face, and felt a little funny. When Yang heard what Su Wenyu said, she felt relieved and at the same time a little bit regretful. Then I won't go out. My fourth daughter-in-law, you hurry up and greet the in-laws, help me confess my sins to them, and let the fourth daughter take care of herself. It took a lot of effort to entertain them, but you see, I can't entertain them properly even though I'm injured. Mom, it's okay. My parents must have heard about our family's affairs. They knew you were injured and were worried. It would be nice to know that you are okay. There will always be opportunities in the future for those who don't want to entertain us. We are all in-laws. Family, no need to be so polite, I'll go out first. Although it was just a visit between relatives, the Su family had the same status, and the treatment in the Han family was obviously different. In order to appear solemn, old man Han personally took his sons to the gate to greet them, and politely welcomed them into the main room. Several sisters-in-law are busy working on their own, the one who pours the tea is pouring the tea, and the other is carrying the fruit plate, so enthusiastic. Only Han and Lin were huddled in their room and did not dare to go out, for fear that Mr. Su and his wife would cause trouble for him, especially after the eldest brother of the Wang family did such a thing. There was still a shock waiting for them. Mr. Su and his wife are indeed a little worried about the affairs of the Han family. The person who came to report yesterday did not make it clear. Moreover, his daughter and son-in-law went directly back to the Han family and did not go to the Su family. What was going on in their hearts? I didn't feel at ease, so I came over to take a look and visit my mother-in-law, also to show respect for my daughter. Although they were a little dissatisfied because of the previous incident, Yang was Han Yu's biological mother. Seeing that Han Yu performed well, Yang was injured again, so they didn't care about it for the time being. Daughter, you went back to Han's house yesterday without sending anyone to tell you what the situation was. Your father and I were worried, so we came here early in the morning. Is your mother-in-law okay now? Is the injury serious? Mom also brought a lot of supplements, all for your mother-in-law. Su Wenyu glanced back and saw that the servant was carrying a lot of things, probably all supplements for Yang. Mom, no, what are you doing with so many supplements? Just think of it, and you don't have a lot of objections to my mother-in-law. Why are you so nice all of a sudden? Su Wenyu whispered in An's ear. There are not so many twists and turns between mother and daughter, so what Su Wenyu said was more direct. And nodded at Su Wenyu's forehead. Silly daughter, what do you know? Your mother and I just deliberately brought more supplements here to show your mother-in-law how generous and magnanimous we are. We didn't even tell her what happened before. I'm so worried about it. I'll make her so embarrassed that she won't be able to embarrass you in the future. Mom, don't worry. My mother-in-law is fine. She just bleeds a little too much. Just give her a lot of nourishment. But, Mom, you are so kind to me. Su Wenyu acted like a little girl in front of Ungshi. And was very impressed by Su Wenyu's attitude, and the fake smile on her face became a lot more real. No, you are my daughter, but you are so stupid that you can't do it if I don't plan for you. Being bullied to death. A group of people entered the Han family. Mr. Su followed Mr. Han to the main hall to sit and talk. Su Wenyu took in to see Yang. There was a lot of back and forth between the two in-laws, and then she took in. She went to her room and showed her mother where she lived now. Mom, look, this is the room that Han Yu and I live in. Although it's a little worn out, I've tidied it up well now. Su Wenyu showed off the fruits of her labor to An. An's heart felt sad after seeing this place. They lived in such a dilapidated state. Even their servant's room was better than this one. Her precious daughter had suffered a great disaster, and it was all her fault. Dad, how could you be so cruel in the first place and insist on marrying someone off? Why don't you care about your daughter? No matter how good Han Yu is, he is not worthy of letting his daughter suffer such a heavy punishment with him. Mom, what's wrong with you? Why are your eyes so red? Looking back, Dad thought I was disobedient and made you cry again, so he had to scold me. Su Wenyu knew her mother felt sorry for her, so she said half-jokingly. Her father loves her more than her mother on weekdays. Except for insisting that she marry Han Yu, he always follows her and dotes on her, and is not willing to scold her. Apparently Ungshi also heard this. The flaw lies in following her daughter's words. He dares. If it weren't for your stubborn and hard-tempered father, how could you marry into the Han family and live like this? I haven't settled the score with him yet, but he dares to scold you and give it a try. And looked like she was going to fight Master Su, and she was really fierce, but Su Wenyu felt that this was the cutest gesture in the world, and her heart felt warmer than ever before. There was nothing greater than maternal love in the world. How could she have done it in the first place? She was obsessed with abandoning her son, who was so well behaved and obedient. She must be the most cruel mother in the world. Thinking of the children in her previous life, Su Wenayu's mood instantly dropped, but she still kept a sweet smile on her face so one could not see it, so as not to worry her. I know that Dad would not dare to scold me if Mom is here. Hee, Mom, don't be sad. Look, I am living a good life now, right? Although life is a little hard, I still have enough food and clothes. Hanyu is good to me and always thinks of me. There is no such thing as the best of both worlds in this world. I am already satisfied with the life I have now. Moreover, Hanyu is a promising man. We will only live better in the future. Mom, you have to believe in your daughter and son-in-law, and don't blame Dad anymore. Okay, can't I just not blame him? You are willing to do it yourself. There is no reason for me, as a mother, to hold on to it. Otherwise, you will think I am too nosy. But if Hanyu dares to do something to let you down in the future, I will not let him go, otherwise I will let my precious daughter suffer so much. As for Yang, after sending An away, her tense nerves finally relaxed and she sighed. My God, this rich lady speaks differently. Her conversation and demeanor are. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tianni. Chapter 68. Yang had to work very hard to avoid embarrassing herself in front of others and save the face of the Han family, but it was really tiring, more tiring than working in the fields, just like fighting a war. Being the wife of a rich family is not something that ordinary people can do. However, if Yang saw Anne's meaningful smile when she left, she would not think so. Anne had dealt with many people, so she knew what kind of person Yang was. She just wanted to vent her anger to her daughter in this way. Her words were full of words that Yang could not understand. She acted like a mistress of the house, and almost made Yang sweat anxiously. If Anne had not seen that Yang still had an injury on her head, she would not have gone too far. Although talking is easy, it is actually a science. Yang finally finished dealing with Anne and was about to lie down to rest when Lu and Li came in together. Mom, Master Su and Madam Su will have lunch at our house this afternoon. There is nothing good in this house. Master Su and Madam Su are both rich and noble. Let's ask you how to entertain them. This gave Yang a headache again. Their family only had this condition and there were too many things they couldn't do. But if they treated Master Su and Madam Su as ordinary relatives, they couldn't do it, and it would be rude. No matter who went to the Su family, the hospitality was impeccable. Moreover, Master Su and Madam Su brought so many gifts, and it was unknown how much money they had to spend. Their family couldn't be stingy. Take out everything you have at home. If you need anything, borrow some from the neighbors nearby. You can't treat your in-laws unfairly. Yang made up her mind. Whether it was the previous Pain manuscript or the supplements brought by Anne, they were all precious things. She couldn't be stingy. Even if she took out the family's foundation, she had to entertain the guests well. Yang actually had to have some secret thoughts in her heart, and didn't want to be looked down upon by the people of the Su family. But Yang's idea was good, but it was not so easy to do, especially this time Mr. Su and Mrs. Su came suddenly, without any preparation at all. Mother, in addition to the food we bought last time, there are only some vegetables at home. My fourth brother also stewed the pheasant he brought back from hunting yesterday afternoon for you to eat. There is no meat at home. Even if we borrow from the villagers, we can still borrow vegetables and radishes. These days, life is hard. No one is willing to spend money to buy meat unless it is a big day. It is impossible to borrow it. We still have some eggs at home. Li was honest and said it realistically. She looked embarrassed. The fourth brother's wife took care of their second room and taught Fujier to read and read. She was very grateful in her heart and wanted to treat the Su family well. Unfortunately, the family only had this condition and she could not do better. How about killing the old hen at home and stewing it? The fourth brother's wife's family is not an ordinary family. They can come in person to respect our Han family. We can't let people look down on our family. Lu was generous this time and proposed to kill the old hen at home. It can be seen that she spent a lot of money. Lu saw the gift and brought and thought it was really generous. Besides, the fourth daughter-in-law treated her and her two daughters very well on weekdays. Moreover, she had something to ask the fourth daughter-in-law and the Su family. She wanted to curry favor with them immediately. How could she not be reluctant? There was nothing delicious at home, so she even had her eyes on the old hen that laid eggs. The old hen could lay 1 egg a day. Even Yang was reluctant to kill it to heal her wounded head. After hearing what Lu said, Yang was a little shaken. Although there was only one hen that laid eggs in the family, it would be a pity to kill it, but compared with what her in-laws gave her, it was not worth anything at all. She killed it. It was impossible for people to eat here without any meat dishes. Okay, just kill it, and then go buy a few chicks to raise. Lu and Li listened to Yang's words and immediately did as she was told. However, the old hen didn't stay in the chicken coop in broad daylight. When she saw someone trying to catch it, she immediately fluttered and ran away. It was not easy to catch it. The noise was quite loud, which attracted Su Wenyu. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law, what are you doing? Why are you chasing the old hen? Didn't mother say that the old hen will not lay eggs if it is scared? It's okay. From now on, it won't lay eggs. Mother said that the old hen will be slaughtered and stewed at noon today. It's rare for the in-laws to come, so we have to treat them well and can't neglect them, Lu said loudly, and even An, who was sitting in the room, could hear her voice. Su Wenyu felt relieved. She was touched by the hospitality of her in-laws. However, she still didn't want to kill the old hen. She stopped Lu. Sister-in-law, no need. My mother and others just came to see my mother-in-law. They were relieved to see that she was fine. They will go back soon and won't stay for lunch. Don't bother. There is only one old hen at home. My mother is counting on it to lay eggs. What? Why are you going back so soon? You didn't even have lunch. You are too anxious. Lu was stunned when she heard Su Wenyu say that. She didn't know whether she was disappointed or something. She looked embarrassed. She wanted to show off in front of Master Su and Madame Su. Yes, fourth sister-in-law, this is too anxious. It's rare for the in-laws to come. At least they should stay for lunch before leaving. Why are you so anxious? Li rarely expressed her opinions on weekdays. Now she was like Lu. Lu wanted to curry favor with Master Su, while Li wanted to show her kindness. Really, that's not necessary. My parents only made the trip out of concern, and they rushed back to take care of it. I appreciate the kindness of mother-in-law and you guys. We are all family, and there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Although Su Wenyu refused, she said it in a nice way. Master Su and An didn't want to trouble the Han family too much, and she had the same idea. For her parents, a very ordinary meal, the Han family had to spend a lot of effort. She would treat her parents well after the family was divided. The master of this rich family is busy. If he has to go back, it must be a big thing. We really can't delay them. When they heard Su Wenyu say that Master Su and Madame Su had something to deal with, they couldn't stay any longer, so as not to delay their important things. Then we can only wait until the in-laws come and treat them well. Originally, the in-laws came in a hurry, and we were not prepared. There was not even a good meal at home. Next time they come, let them know in advance, and we will definitely treat them well. Lu felt a little regretful, but anyway, the fourth daughter-in-law was there, so she went back to ask the fourth daughter-in-law to help talk. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, TNNI. Chapter 69. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su love the fourth daughter-in-law so much that she will definitely agree to it as long as the fourth daughter-in-law asks. And for the Su family, this is just a small thing and can be done easily, so as long as the fourth daughter-in-law is willing to agree, it won't be a problem. Su Wenyu also felt that Mrs. Li was a little strange. She was too enthusiastic, completely beyond her imagination. Mrs. Lu was not like Mrs. Li. Mrs. Li might be sincere, but there was no reason for Mrs. Lu to be uninterested and unable to afford the opportunity. How could she be so attentive? Su Wenyu didn't think that the small favors she usually gave Lu could make her so attentive. But no matter what Liu's purpose is, Su Wenyu doesn't care. As long as she doesn't want to, no one can force her to do anything. Moreover, Lu is so attentive, especially his almost flattering attitude towards her parents. This time the matter still had something to do with the Su family. Sooner or later, the request would come to her door. She just waited for the Lu family to send it to her door. Mr. Su and his wife stayed at the Han family for less than an hour before saying goodbye and leaving. Before leaving, Annan reluctantly told her daughter, and also prepared gifts for her daughter's sisters-in-law, asking them to take good care of Su Wenyu, and so on. Thank you a lot. Of course, the Wang family was automatically ignored by everyone. No one in the Han family would mention it in an inappropriate way. It was already good that the Su family didn't cause trouble to the Wang family. Don't worry, in-laws and madams. We are all a family. There is no need to take care of anyone. We can't even protect people like the fourth brother and sister. How can we embarrass her? Don't worry. From now on, the fourth brother and sister's business will be my business. I'll fight anyone who dares to say anything about her. Mrs. Li was clumsy and could not speak. Even if she was grateful in her heart, she would only say thank you over and over again. There was nothing more to say. Mrs. Lu, on the other hand, swore in front of Mr. Su and Mrs. Su, but she just didn't cut out her heart. People look to prove their determination. Mrs. N has more kindness towards Mrs. Li. She is an honest person. It will not be difficult to get along with such a person as a sister-in-law, and she will not plot against her daughter. Although she is smiling towards Mrs. Lu, her eyes are filled with laughter. A flash of sarcasm flashed across her face. If it wasn't for her daughter, she would have disdained to deal with such a person. However, the vulgarity and greed shown on his face were much easier to deal with than those villains like Wang who used tricks behind their backs. As long as they were a few benefits can put people in your hands. Watching the Su family's carriage leave, Mrs. Li just showed gratitude, while Mrs. Lu was overjoyed and extremely happy. She didn't expect that Mrs. Su would specially prepare a gift for her, which was so polite. Mrs. Lu couldn't wait to go back to her room, so she couldn't wait to open it in front of everyone. Inside were 2 pieces of silk and a box of powder and rouge. The most common things in the shop below the Su family, in Mrs. Liu's opinion, were unprecedented. Good used items. This is really true. My in-laws are too rich. They give such a generous gift. How can I be embarrassed? This is all thanks to my 4 younger siblings. Otherwise, how could country peasant women like us use such good things? Even if it's a high-quality product, it will probably cost you a few taels of silver to buy it from a shop in the county. How can ordinary people afford this? When Ms. Lu saw the contents of the cloth bag, she grinned widely and narrowed her eyes. She was thinking about the last time the Sun family's daughter-in-law in the village showed off to her that the powder rouge she used was bought in a shop in the county town. It cost more than 200 cents. It is not a low-quality powder sold by a country salesman on a load, but compared with the one given by my wife, it is just a low-quality product. I will show it off in front of the Sun family's daughter-in-law anytime. Thinking of the envious and jealous look of the Sun family's daughter-in-law, Mrs. Lu felt proud and became even more attentive to Su Wenyu. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su left, and it was almost noon. Mrs. Lu and Mrs. Li were making lunch in the kitchen, while Su Wenyu took the supplements that Mrs. N had just brought and stewed them for her mother-in-law. Fourth brother and sister, please stop busying yourself with these things in the kitchen. I'm here with you. Just go do your own thing. You don't have to worry about these things. How can a pampered young lady like you do this kind of work? Mrs. Lu was now thinking of ways to curry favor with Su Wenyu. When she saw Su Wenyu was also busy in the kitchen, she took the initiative to speak. Sister-in-law, don't say that. We are all the same daughters-in-law of the Han family. I will not be lazy when it comes to what I have to do. Moreover, I also want to do something for my mother personally. This is my intention as a daughter-in-law. Su Wenyu didn't want to take issue with Mrs. Liu's words. Now that Mrs. Lu has benefited, she will naturally give way to her in everything. If something goes wrong later and there is a conflict of interest, she may fall out. If this is used as an issue, Su Wenyu will not let Lu. She took advantage of this loophole. Although she didn't care much about other people's opinions, no one would think her reputation was too good. Seeing Su Wenyu say this, Mrs. Lu said no more. She was also a daughter-in-law, so she couldn't stop her from showing her filial piety to her mother-in-law, otherwise her mother-in-law would have objections. Although Mrs. Wang was in the room, she had been paying attention to what was going on outside. She felt unhappy and angry when she saw that Su Wenyu's mother-in-law's family was treated differently by the Han family compared to her mother and others. She saw Mrs. Su giving gifts and bribing her mother-in-law and mother-in-law. The two sisters-in-law were jealous and unwilling again. Why did Su Wenyu have such a good life? It's just that Mrs. Wang is still having a headache because of her elder brother's matter. Yesterday, Han Lin finally stopped Han Yu, who was going to the county government office to report to the official. He said that he wanted to give an explanation. Now he can't delay it any longer. He is having a headache as to how to talk to him. The Han family explained this matter. How could they dare to trouble Su Wenyu at this time? Have you thought about how to tell your family? Your brother's matter can't be delayed any longer. When I went to ask the fourth brother yesterday, he had already said that if we can't get an explanation from the family today, he will go to the county government office tomorrow morning to report to the officials and bring the officials in person. If the officials don't find anything, it's fine. If they find out that your brother is in prison, it won't be easy to get out of the county government's cell. Besides, you were at home at the time. In front of your parents, you can rely on the baby in your belly to get away, but in front of the officials, I'm afraid it won't be so easy to talk to. Don't arrest you together. Then, what should I do? I'm still pregnant. This is the child of your old Han family. It's your son. You can't ignore me. Wang was just a woman and child. Even if she had some opinions on weekdays, she had never seen a big scene. When she heard that she would be questioned by the officials, how could she not be afraid? She was confused for a while. What else can we do now? Fortunately, Mom's injury is not serious. Let's go to Mom and Dad and confess the truth this afternoon. I wonder if Mom and Dad can forgive you this time. Rebirth of a Farming Wife. Author, Tian. Chapter 70. P.S. Here is the May Day update. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote monthly first. From now on, click on the 515 Fan Festival to enjoy double monthly tickets, and other events will give you red envelopes, so you can also take a look. In the afternoon, Su Wenyu was embroidering in her room when she heard a loud noise and crying coming from the room of her parents-in-law. She was startled and quickly put down what she was doing and went over to see what was going on. Han Yu followed behind, but she didn't care. Unhurriedly, as if she had expected it, Su Wenyu slowed down her anxious movements, glanced at Han Yu meaningfully, and then passed. She had been thinking about it for 2 days. Which drama are you singing? What are you doing to protect her, you scoundrel? We in the Han family don't have such a vicious daughter-in-law. This is what people can do. Look at how badly your mother was injured. If she hadn't been lucky, she didn't hit an important place. You can still lie here peacefully, two beasts without eyes. Old man Han took the cigarette rod and pointed at Han and Lin, who were kneeling on the ground, and cursed. Wang, who was lying on the bed, seemed to have a worried look on her face. However, thinking of what her son and daughter-in-law had done, she felt chilling in her heart. She sat down there. He watched coldly as the Han Lin couple was scolded by old man Han. As soon as Su Wenyu saw Han and Lin, and listened to what old Han said, she understood what was going on. It seemed that the Han family's thief had something to do with the Wang family, and the Wang family took the initiative to admit that that day in all likelihood, Wang Qinglin was the one who broke into the Han family and hurt Yang. Apart from Wang's family, Su Wenyu couldn't think of anyone else who could make Wang take the initiative to admit and apologize. The noise just made was so loud that except for Su Wenyu and Han Yu, everyone else in the Han family also heard it, and they arrived at about the same time as Su Wenyu. However, neither Su Wenyu nor Han Yu understood the situation in the first and second bedrooms. Seeing the state of things in the room, old man Han, who had never liked taking care of things, was a little confused about the situation when facing the third and second bedrooms. Isn't this third daughter-in-law pregnant? The parents are so tolerant of everything for the sake of the child in her belly. Why would they let the third daughter-in-law kneel on the ground at this time? Could it be that the third daughter-in-law has done something wrong? Good thing, right? This third daughter-in-law is really noisy. When Mrs. Lu saw this scene, she immediately said, "Hey! Third daughter-in-law, what kind of immoral thing did you do to make your father so angry? And third brother, aren't you protecting yourself again? You are a daughter-in-law, it's so unfilial to make your parents so angry." This time Mrs. Wang just begged her parents-in-law to forgive her, and the matter was over. But Mrs. Lu was really irritating, so good-natured, and wanted to get involved even though it was none of her business, adding fuel to the fire. The father-in-law and mother-in-law looked increasingly unkind, and Mrs. Wang wanted to beat Mrs. Lu out. Just thinking so in her heart, Mrs. Wang could only kneel down obediently at this time, not daring to say more than half a word, let alone quarreling with Mrs. Lu. "Old man, let them go out. Don't let so many people crowd in the room. It's so noisy that I have a headache." Yang guessed at that time that she hid something. Now she is still reluctant to let go of the child in Wang's belly, no matter how much she feels in her heart. "I was angry, and wanted to teach the third and fourth sons a lesson, but I also didn't want everyone to know about it, especially Ms. Lu, who was a big mouth. If she knew about it, everyone would know about it." Old man Han sighed when he saw Mr. Yang sighing like this. He wanted to punish the third daughter-in-law and his wife, but the old woman still cared about the child in the third daughter-in-law's belly. And that was not the case in his heart. No matter what, he had to wait for the third daughter-in-law to take the child into her belly. "We'll wait until the baby is born, but this time the matter can't just go away, otherwise no one will have any scruples in doing things in the future, and that's fine. Except for the third child and his wife, there is also the fourth child. You all should go out. I have something to tell them." It was rare for old Han to get angry. When everyone saw that old Han had spoken, they all came out of the room even though they were curious. Su Wenyu glanced at Han Yu and followed everyone out. She wanted to wait for Han Yu to come out before asking, "You know what's going on?" Su Wenyu had been waiting in the room for nearly half an hour before Han Yu came over from old man Han and Yang. Su Wenyu's eyes lit up. "Ms. Sir, what's going on? Why did Dad get so angry? Isn't that right? It's related to the thief last time. Is that thief Wang Qinglin?" When Han Yu saw his wife's curious look, a smile appeared on his originally cold face, and she looked much gentler. You are smart, you guessed it right away, but my parents don't want anyone in the family to know about this, especially. My sister-in-law is a gossip. Although the Wang family has gone too far, if it spreads, it will be a scandal to the family. Just know it in your heart and don't spread it. So when you refused, then let them go like this. Even though I was caught by my mother, the thieves that day were clearly after my dowry and wanted to steal something to repay the debt. It was a good idea. So when Yu said this with a hint of sneer on her lips. She had actually been wary of Mrs. Wang for a long time. She knew that Mrs. Wang would have the idea of her dowry. She had already put away the banknotes and had already given Xiao 11 a chance to change the valuable things in the box. She put it away in a safe place. Now there were some ordinary items and things she would use on a daily basis. Otherwise, how could she return to her parents' home so safely? Even if Wang Qinglin really stole the things from her box and wanted to exchange them for money to pay off his gambling debts, he would definitely have to take the things to a pawn shop. She has many ways to find out, and she will really report it when the time comes. After becoming an official, there is no good fruit for Wang Qinglin to eat. So Wen Yu will never be soft on the Wang family, especially Wang Qinglin, who is a bad guy, as vicious as his sister. In her previous life, the Wang family plotted against her and Wang Qinglin did a lot of work. It's just that things were well planned. I didn't expect that Wang Qinglin would be caught by Yang when he entered Han's house to steal things, and it would develop like this. For Wang to expose the matter easily, Su Wenyu felt a little angry. How could Han Yu not know what his wife was thinking? He patted Su Wenyu's head out of habit, smiled and comforted him. Don't worry, with your husband here, the couple can still go out easily. You are too I underestimated your husband. Su Wenyu's eyes lit up again when she heard what Han Yu said. Also, considering Han Yu's shady, ruthless, and defensive nature, Wang not only tried to get her dowry, but also injured Yang. How could it be so easy? Let them go, but Han Yu kept silent about what he asked Han Yu next and refused to reveal anything to her. Su Wenyu felt itchy and had nothing to do with Han Yu. However, Su Wenyu was not discouraged. She thought that there was always a way to get the words out of Han Yu's mouth. She racked her brains for ideas and finally came up with a better idea. Before she could implement it, a guest came to the house. Thank you for your continued support this time. I hope you can support the 515 Fan Festival Writers Hall of Glory and the general election of works. In addition, there are some red envelope gift packs during the Fan Festival. Get one and continue your subscription.